Well, I'm going to get started on some real basics here. And these basics I'm going to start with writing, and then we're going to expand out into the business side, and then into traditional and indie publishing and how you can use your writing. But until you've got writing underneath you, none of the rest of it's going to matter. And so let me, over these next couple videos here, give you some real basics of writing. And you may have heard these before. Listen to them again. Okay? It's really, really important. This video is Heinlein's Rules. Robert A. Heinlein, New York Times bestseller for a long time, was around publishing for 50 years or more, I don't know exactly. Way, way back in the, I don't know, I think it was the 40s. I'll have to go, I've got the book here. Did an essay in a book about, it was an essay of professional writers at the time, giving the secrets to writing. And this had some pretty major names in it, and they were doing essays about writing and on and on. And Heinlein was doing this very forgettable and very dull, I mean, extremely dull essay on some aspect of writing. And then about, I don't know, a page or so before the end, he finally said, well, and all of that is just so much. Who are you, I think, or something he said like that. He says that I'm going to give you the truth of the matter here. And I'm going to give you my business rules. And he says, and I know, and then at the end he says, I know that I didn't give away this store. He says, some of my fellow professional writers may be mad at me for telling you this entire thing, but I know that so few of you will do it that it won't matter. And he's exactly right. He's exactly right. I've been talking about Heinlein's Rules since I discovered him, and it changed my life in 1982. From what I was doing from 1975 to 1982, and he completely changed my life. And between him and some of Bradbury's early books on writing and essays on writing, completely changed everything I was doing. And Heinlein's Rules are very, very simple. They're very simple. There's only 5 of them. They're darn near impossible to follow. And that's why they're so simple and why he wasn't worried. Well, I followed him. My friend Nina Creaky Hoffman followed him. Christine Catherine Rush followed him. Kevin J. Anderson followed him. And almost every other major writer who came in at the same time we did followed them in one form or another. And that's why we're been around for 25 and 35 years. And everybody I know who follows these rules religiously, for years at a time, becomes a successful writer. So, I mean, if everything else about this workshop doesn't sink in, try to get this one to sink in. Heinlein's Rules. Rule number 1, you must write. Yeah, that doesn't mean promote. That doesn't mean run around and trying to get your Facebook friends to buy your latest book. It means be a writer. You'll hear me talk about this. There's a difference between authors and writers. Authors are people who have written. Writers are people who write. Authors are people who run around promoting their last book. Writers are people who put up their book and then write the next one. Okay? I'm a writer. My wife is a writer. A lot of people I know are writers. That's why we're still here. I've seen authors come and go by the thousands over the last 35 years. They just kind of come and go and come and go. So, you must write. Rule number 1. Now, there's a lot of people who sit around talking about they want to write, but can't find the time. If you had a pool of 100 writers that say, I want to write, I want to be a writer, I'm sitting in this coffee shop and I want to be a writer, of those, maybe 15 or so or 20 would actually start writing. The other 80 would just sit in the coffee shop and always claim they never found enough time. I've got many good friends over the years that always claimed they want to be writers and actually could write pretty well when they would get around to it, but never found the time. That last television rerun was more important than 30 minutes sitting at the computer. That going down to the bar to have an extra drink or playing the guitar or whatever was more important than sitting down at the computer. So, number 1, you must write. Probably the hardest rule there is. You wouldn't think it is, but boy, does it simple and difficult. Number 2, this will clear out a whole bunch more. You must finish what you write. Okay, you must write. You must finish what you write. That clears out a whole bunch of people because a whole bunch of people can't seem to finish anything. Why? Almost always fear. It's always fear. If you finish something, then it stands for something. Then it's a piece of work that's done, and you have to take the consequences of having something done. And maybe somebody might read it and, oh no, not like it. Oh no, or even worse, somebody might read it and like it. So it's simpler to start writing for people who want to be writers and then never finish. There is no plot reason. There is no, that I've ever found or heard of or had anybody ever talk about. There's absolutely no business reason. There's no reason at all except for fear of the final product. If you can't finish something, you're afraid. You're afraid of finishing. You're afraid of actually putting yourself on the line. And as long as it's a work in progress, then you never put yourself on the line. And it's safe. Well, if you're one of those people that can't finish something, this is all I can help you with right here. I can maybe give you a little plot formula a little later, but otherwise it isn't plot, it isn't anything else. You just got to write to where you call it the end and be done and then put it out in public and then write something else and finish it. So, Heinlein's rules. Number 1, you must write. Number 2, you must finish what you write. That cleared about, out of the 100, that cleared probably 85 or 90 of the writers right out of the room right there. They're gone. There's about 10 people left that can actually write and finish what they write. Number 3, you must never rewrite unless to editorial demand. And everybody on the planet with this myth is just going, yeah. Well, too damn bad. You must never rewrite unless to editorial demand. What does that mean? Well, writing is a back-of-the-brain process. Rewriting, meaning getting in there and fixing, oh, that sentence doesn't sound right, comes from the front of the brain right there. That comes from your 5th grade writing teacher and your high school English teacher and all that people that don't know how to write anything. Your back of your brain's been a reader all of its life. It's been studying. It knows what story is. It knows that. You come up front here and you take out, oh, that really dull sentence. Well, that's just dull. I should take that out. If you do it with the front of your brain, you know what that is? You're taking your voice out. The only thing out of a story that makes it you. Stories, there's only 7 plots on the world, and Shakespeare did them and did them better than you're going to do. So, I mean, the truth of the matter is, the only thing that makes your stories original is you, the writer. Leave the voice alone. You can't see it. It's usually the dull parts of your story. Leave it in there. So here's what I suggest to you folks in this modern age of computers. My suggestion is get to the end of the story in whatever way you get to the end of the story in a creative mode. Then, if you've made notes to yourself, or if you've cycled or whatever, and you say, oh, I missed this, or it needs to have a gun in Act 1 because in Act 3 I didn't put the gun in, then go put the gun in and fix the mistakes that you know. A lot of writers go along and go boom and go, oh, that's not right, check that, and they'll put something in parentheses or a block or something like that, check that. Well, you go back and you cycle through fixing the check that stuff. You don't rewrite anything, you leave it alone, you just fix the mistakes. Then you give it to a first reader who has instructions to read it only for typos and mistakes. You spell check it in there too, but typos and mistakes, and then you fix their mistakes, and then you mail it, and then you write something new again. That's my suggestion. Now, if you want to call that 3 drafts, call it 3 drafts. That's what I do if I'm out in public. Okay? But I write it, I fix the mistakes that I noted to myself, I give it to a first reader, and I fix the mistakes that she finds, and then I mail it. And that's all I do. I don't touch anything else. Okay. Number 4, you must put it on the market. You must put your work on the market. Now, when Heinlein was writing, he meant mail it to an editor. Actually, I think the actual words are you must mail it to someone who could buy it. Okay, but now, because in the new world, you must put it on the market. Market means either indie publish it or mail it to an editor. So rule number 4 is you must put it on the market. Number 5, you must keep it on the market until someone buys it. In indie publishing, that's easy. Get it done, put it up, set the price, and forget it. Let the money come in as people find it. In traditional publishing, you're going to have to send it out, get the rejections, send it out, get the rejections, send it out until someone buys it. Okay? So, Heinlein's 5 rules of business, he calls them his business rules. The secret. They actually work. They're scary. They are so difficult to follow. Because, I mean, a whole bunch of people on rule number 4, well, most people can't follow rule number 3 and then turn their stories into what I call polished rocks. As an editor, I can see them, literally they glow out of the slush pile. And in this day and age, almost everything is a polished rock. Well, if you have a whole bunch of polished rocks, they all look the same. I want that thing that's got the nifty facets and the sharp edges and the biting differences. That's what I want as an editor. I don't want everything that looks the same. I don't want to publish a magazine or an anthology or anything that has all stories that feel and act exactly the same, with the same dullness and the same voice and the same nothing. No, I want that writer who's got the real unique voice and has left it in their story. So that's number 3. Number 4, putting it on the market. I can't begin to tell you how many writers I know who write stuff, have it finished, and think, oh, it's not good enough. And then they write something else and go, oh, it's not good enough. Well, it's not good enough maybe by their high school English standards, but maybe there's a whole bunch of readers that want to read it, and they never know, and they never put it on the market. And then, of course, in this new world now, number 5, the rule of keeping it on the market, that's just become goofy. Because, I mean, here, you know, oh, I had a bad month in sales. Maybe I should pull that down and rewrite it, or maybe I should change the cover, or maybe I should change the price. Just write something new. You know, just move on. So Heinlein's rules. If you take nothing out of this workshop but Heinlein's rules, they are write. Finish what you write. Do not rewrite unless to editorial demand. Put it on the market. Keep it on the market. 5 rules. 5 business rules. They work for Heinlein. They work for everybody else back in the old days. They work for me. They work for Chris. They work for a billion writers that I know that are working just fine and making nice livings. All right? Good luck with this one because they are so simple and so hard to maintain. Great fun with Heinlein's rules. You must write. You must finish what you write. You must not rewrite unless to editorial demand. You must put your work on the market, and you must keep your work on the market. Very simple, very hard to follow.